Hi, welcome to People First. I am your host, Jeffrey Fermin, and I am joined by someone that I hope you've followed on social media, specifically LinkedIn. She's a wonderful voice for people in HR and hosts her own podcast with the lovely Kim. Well, are you working with Kim on that
Oh yeah,
podcast specifically? Because I see y'all all the time. Let me
yeah.
cut
That's my co-host. Yeah.
let me cut my introduction. We have the lovely Rebecca Taylor of SkillCycle. I'll let you give a proper introduction.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Hi, I am Rebecca Taylor. I'm the co-founder and chief customer officer at SkillCycle, and I'm the co-host of HR Confessions, which I do alongside Kim Rower, who I know you've been speaking with too, and who's been on People First as well. My background's in HR, so I spent 10 years in HR before quitting my HR career to start an HR tech company called SkillCycle. And our company kind of lives in that intersection of performance management and talent development to really help people get the skills that they need to prepare themselves for the jobs that they have to do today and into the future.
Before we get into today's topic, I'm very curious. How has it been like going from HR and people management now to kind of like spearheading and starting an HR tech company?
It's like this weird identity crisis sometimes because it's like, you know how, I mean, and then I know this is a very US centric mindset, but you know how it's like so much of our identity is tied up to our job. And there are some jobs that have more stereotypes kind of, I guess, associated with them. So you have like lawyers, you've got salespeople, and you've got HR people. Like everyone's got like the caricatures of what these jobs are. And for the longest time, I was like, I'm in HR, I do HR things. And it's been kind of, it was sort of like this moment. It took me maybe almost a year to sort of fully reset myself into this entrepreneurial, tech founder type of mindset for where I am now. And it's been honestly so refreshing though, because it's like a really adjacent career path to what I was doing before. A lot of the skills that made me a good HR person actually make me a good founder, a good leader. And because we're building HR tech, it's like we're still working with HR people. So I'm still like, those are still my people and still my community. But it definitely was sort of this like really weird identity crisis at first that I kind of just leaned into. And I'm like, everyone should have a good identity crisis every few years.
Love that. And based on the clips I've seen and the one episode I've caught with you and Kim, you all have a very candid, like just speaking for HR by HR, but you strip away maybe some of the, I hate to say corporateness of it all. And I feel like you all do a great job of being transparent. So
Thank you.
just out of curiosity, why did you want to do that? Did you want to just like put a real voice behind HR folks?
Yeah, our big sort of goal was to kind of raise the curtain of what actually goes on in HR. And again, HR can kind of have a lot of these like stereotypes, very corporate, very either very corporate or very boring. Like you think Toby Flenderson from The Office. Like it doesn't have this reputation for being sort of this vibrant, interesting, empathetic, problem solving type of role. And most of the HR people who I know, who I've met and who I've worked with are like that. Like they are these real humans who, you have this sort of facade sometimes for dealing with things that you have to deal with in HR. Sometimes you do have to have this more corporate kind of stoic persona because it's just what the scenario requires. But at the end of the day, when you're at an HR event, we're all like, oh my God, can you believe what happened to this? Or let me tell you about this story that happened here. Obviously not breaching confidentiality anywhere, but the conversation is always just so different because you're talking to people who kind of understand you. And so what Kim and I really wanted to do was sort of tell the stories of what actually happens in HR. And we really wanted to make a podcast that wasn't like every other HR podcast, but still had learning points and content that HR people would find interesting and valuable and helpful. So taking the storytelling perspective where people submit their anonymous stories to us, I write them as in a you're in the room where it happened type of style story. And then Kim sort of live reacts to it. It's been a really, really cool way for us to showcase things that happen in HR, but also kind of have this like pause, frame. What would you have done if you were in this scenario? What do you think this person did right? What do you think they did wrong? And that's kind of the vision, was really to make it so that it's accessible for HR people related to specific stories, but also has an element of entertainment for people who aren't in HR, who still kind of love a good work story.
Love it. Yeah, y'all are doing terrific. I'm going to be sure
Thank
to
you.
put the Spotify link or wherever you want me to link out to, if you have like Buzzsprout or one of those things, on the YouTube description here. So don't worry, we'll do
Perfect.
our
Thank
best
you.
to promote you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, on to today's topic. skill agility in the age of AI and just rethinking talent strategy as a whole. So, what does skill agility actually look like in practice, and how can AI help?
Yeah. So there's a lot of talk about upskilling and reskilling, and we kind of look at it as skill agility. So that's kind of where the term sort of comes from. And really what it's about is looking at all the jobs within your organization or even within your team, depending on how big or how small you're able to go, and sort of say, okay, the skills and competencies that people have needed to do this job may have changed because of the introduction of tools like AI. So let's look at, from these job descriptions, from these competencies, what are the skills that are being maybe deprioritized because we're able to streamline the way that work gets done because of AI? And what does that mean for the other skills and competencies that are required to be able to function in this role now that there might be different ways to do the things that you're supposed to do? And so the key for thinking about sort of what skill agility is going to be looking like in your organization is to keep it really outcomes focused. So when you're looking at your marketing team, for example, maybe it used to be that you had to analyze a lot of data to then come up with the strategy to write this content to do this thing, right? The outcome is still to get attention to your brand, to add value to your audience. The way that you do that might be different now because of new tools like AI. So when you look at kind of the outcomes that you need someone to be able to accomplish in their role, it kind of, we see a lot of people and a lot of our customers right now, especially, are looking at, okay, maybe the how that work gets done is changing and the outcomes can even be higher, or they can be more lateral because we now have more bandwidth to focus on other areas of collaboration within the organization too. So it's like, we call it agility because it kind of allows you to figure out what skills do you have that can apply to different types of projects and different types of roles. How can we look at finding hidden talent and hidden skills within our organization instead of saying, well, we don't need a data analyst anymore because we have AI now. That is a narrative that some companies have. Don't agree with it, but it's there. So it's like, okay, let's look at, instead of this person who's the data analyst, instead of saying they no longer have to work here, let's look at what other skills they have and where those skills can flex for them to apply to other positions within the organization too. So it's just about the concept of, thinking differently about how you work, knowing that the outcomes that we all need to achieve are probably still pretty much the same. Make money and make products.
No, very insightful. So yeah, we're in this new area, right? AI is taking over everything. Now companies won't even consider buying tools if they don't have some kind of AI native platform or have some AI component to it, which now begs the question, like, how do employees prep for that, and how should they be thinking about upskilling? Just thinking, like, for myself as an employee, what should I be prepping myself? Should I be looking at my job description and saying, like, no, I'm only supposed to focus on this, or should I be leaning into like what my employer is doing and really investing a lot of time, effort, and saying like, oh wow, I need to devote maybe 10% of my work week towards making sure I'm like AI knowledgeable,
AI ready. Yeah.
AI ready.
I think it's like there's part of the onus is on an individual sometimes. The majority of the onus is on the company. So I actually had a newsletter. My newsletter was about this week, where I'm just like, I'm so sick of the narrative that employees don't want to learn. I'm like, that is just, can I curse on here? Because I'm like, that's.
Yes, please curse.
Okay, I'm like, that's bullshit. I'm like, it's not that employees don't want to learn. It's that they need the clarity to understand what it is that they need to learn. And then they need the support and the resources so that they can actually go out and learn the things that they have to learn. So if I'm getting really specific, think of it as, it's not up to every single employee to sit there and look at their job description and say, these are the things that should be changing and this is what they should be doing. But where the opportunity is for employees is to say, okay, I have to write this press release. What are the tools that I normally use to write this press release? Of these tools, is there AI in any of these tools that I can use to make this easier? Maybe ones that can help me narrow down who I'm going to be sending this out to, who I'm going to be targeting, right? You could tell that I don't do press releases because I'm like, I don't remember the background of what's supposed to happen. But it's like, let's look at sort of what's in there that can help me do this specific task more effectively within my existing skill set or within my existing toolkit. And then experiment with AI within sort of these technologies that you're already using. Because speaking as a tech vendor, we built our platform without AI at first, right? And then with the rise of AI, we're like, okay, it's time to start factoring this in so that by the time organizations are ready for it, we're AI ready ourselves. So, most of the time there is something within your current tech stack that you can just sort of try and experiment to see if it can just make one task that you do every day a little bit easier. From the company angle, it's not that different. It really, I reject the narrative that we all have to run around like crazy and try to build out this entire AI strategy and introduce all these new tools and everything. It's like eventually you may need to get there, but you have to kind of start with just the concept of being willing to change the way that you're doing things now and just use your tools a little bit differently and let, vendors in the SaaS space, vendors in the AI space, we're making it so that you don't have to figure out how to use this stuff. We're making it so that it's like, it's here for you. We will teach you how to use it within the ecosystem of our platform. So, lean into your vendors, lean into the tools that you're already using and kind of say, how can I use AI to make this a little bit easier? Because that's what's been kind of making a lot of really interesting conversations with our customers is we get questions like, could your AI do this? And we're like, could it? Or we're like, it does, and here's how you can do that. But then we're like, I don't know, could it? Let's see if it should. And that's where, I don't know, I'm kind of selfish about this because I'm like, I feel like this is just a really cool time to be very collaborative in how AI is built in platforms that people are already using, because we as vendors really, really want to make sure that we're making it really clear, really simple, and really easy, and that we're guiding you along the way. So lean into your people, lean into your current tools, lean into your current vendors. They're probably figuring it out for you.
Sounds great. Couple of things. I think "yes, please curse" is one of the funniest sentences I've said in the history of People First. I just have to backtrack and say that was really funny. I was like unmuting my mic and do that.
I just needed to make sure.
I don't know. It's perfect.
This is family content. I don't know.
Yeah, when I had Kim on here, I think it was like the first time, like maybe my second recording, and she just maybe dropped the bullshit. I was like, oh, all right, yeah, it's that kind of show. I'm pretty sure Emily and the folks at All Voices are gonna be fine with it. So
you can censor it too. That's sometimes funny.
I think it's funnier if you censor it. By the way, because people know, right?
Right.
Second thing is I do have to tie in or do a quick little just promo right there. You mentioned AI readiness. We're actually going to bring in Brandon Samet of Zapier, and we're going to have a whole conversation around that. So I'm going to link out to that on the YouTube description. We have like on-demand webinars now, and they're really fun and engaging. So feel free to check that one out. Now that little promotion's done.
I'm excited to watch that one though now. Like you promoted it to me too, so I feel like that was just for me. So thank you.
Of course, and we're glad to have you. Feel free to drop some comments in there. We'll do our best to make you a part of the show. So going back to skill agility, right? What mistakes do leaders make when they treat agility more of like a buzzword and something cool and something they might want to put on a press release versus an actual like real talent strategy?
Yeah. So a lot of the mistakes that we see is that they'll talk about skill agility or reskilling or, whatever sort of word that they use for it, but they don't attach it to a specific task or outcome, and they don't give it context within that person's role or that person's job. So a lot of times learning new things or learning in general can feel like a side quest or like a side hustle, because it's like, who has time to sit and read all these things and watch all these videos and attend all these training sessions? And organizations that try to teach skills and cross skills, when they try to do that outside of the flow of work, you're going to lose people. People are tired, people are burnt out, and adults learn better when it's in the moment and it's in the context of what they're trying to do. So when you think about, skill agility, especially from a leadership perspective, because I do believe that a lot of this onus is on managers and leaders. And if you use tools like SkillCycle, it can really make it a lot easier for you to figure out what to do. It's about kind of tying the specific skills that people need to learn to a project that they're working on or to an outcome that you want them to achieve. So it's like giving them context and giving people the space and the time to fuck up and to fix it and to get it done again. And it's almost like this, you have to give clarity, you have to give context, you have to give action. So give them something that they can practice or something that they can try to do. And then you have to give them time and you have to give them freedom to fail. There is this crushing weight of perfectionism everywhere. And it's not the way that people learn. It's something that keeps people in this frozen state of fear a lot, where they're afraid to put themselves out there. They're afraid to try new things. Nike changed their whole slogan. It's no longer just do it, it's why do it, because of the fear of perfectionism that people have and how it's like making them not go out and do things. So it's like, as a leader, you have to give people context, clarity, and resources and time to make sure that they can try these things. It's when you expect everyone to all of a sudden be really good at something with absolutely no time to figure it out and to learn it, then you're just going to be disappointed, and then you're going to lose people.
Yeah. I just read that, by the way, that Nike had changed their
Isn't
slogan.
that crazy?
Yeah, it made me reminded me of the Simon Sinek book, just like start with the why and everything just kind of like follows up
Yeah.
afterwards. So I think it's kind of a sweet little change up.
See, I don't know. I feel a few ways about it, but I think I'm still thinking it through, because I'm like, it feels so apathetic. Why do it? Like, I don't know, just do it. But that's my millennial perspective of like, it's always been that, don't change it.
Perfect. And going back to SkillCycle for a second, I'm curious to see how you all help people as a vendor. Like, I promise this isn't a promo. We did not plan this. I'm just curious to hear how like you all go around upskilling and helping companies out, and really like doing your best to prep and future proof organizations to like. I'm assuming this helps out with employee engagement as well, right? Before I finish my question, right? Like knowing that your companies and organizations are investing in upskilling and hopefully like getting you up to speed with some of the other, larger organizations out there, it makes people feel a certain way. All that to say is, how are you all helping organizations?
Yeah. So to take the Simon Sinek cue, right? It's like, if you start with the why. So the why behind why my co-founder and I, who also comes from HR, we started SkillCycle, was because we didn't see anything on the market that helped people to have an action plan after their performance review, after an engagement survey, after any type of data that HR collects. It's always just been, complete this survey. Maybe we'll have a conversation about it in a performance review. Maybe we'll do a meeting sharing results of our employee engagement survey. But there's never really been like a very clear action plan or follow-up or resources for everybody after these things. So it erodes trust in the process from the employee side, between the employee and HR, because they're like, what's the point of filling out these surveys? Nothing ever happens. What's the point of doing these performance reviews? We just talk about the same things every year and then we just move on, and I either stay or I don't. And so the way that we really think about it is we wanted to make it really easy for feedback to be collected. So instead of just doing an annual review or a 6-month review, we've built a system where people can get ongoing feedback throughout the course of how they're working in their flow of work. And so, once that feedback is collected, that's when it feeds into our AI, who we've named Ada. I think that Ada and Vera need to be friends. And Ada will synthesize that, and Ada will say, okay, hey, here's all the feedback that you're getting. Here's what I recommend you do with it. Here's a conversation you can have with your manager. Here's how you can possibly work with a coach, because we do offer human coaches for people to work with as well. And here's a goal that you might want to set to kind of influence your development. Or here's a goal that you can attach this learning lesson to that your organization has set for you. And so it's really about making it really simple so that people get the feedback that they need with an action plan and then resources to act on it. So it doesn't get stalled in the, okay, what do I do about this void, which is where a lot of stuff happens. The biggest sort of hook that we're seeing is the manager support. So, you look at managers are the people who employees listen to the most, for better or for worse, because they're the ones who are the closest to their role. They're the closest that they talk to every day. So we've made it really, really easy for managers to see the feedback that their employees are getting as employees share it with them. So there is an element of privacy that employees can sort of embrace in certain pieces. And a manager can say, okay, this is the feedback that this person's getting. Here's their development plan, complete with action items tied to projects that they're already attached to. So now all I have to do is ask Ada to tell me, how can I best support this person in their learning journey? So then I can get my own action item based on all the information that I'm getting. So it's that actionable part, and we're literally feeding you sort of things that you can do so that all you have to do is now do them, is where we see the biggest sort of success and the best points of feedback. It's about saving your brain power for the doing and reserving your brain power for the figuring out what to do.
I love it. Do you give these pitches often? Do you go to like kind of like pitch contest? You did great. Your sales team needs to take notes.
I actually don't. I just get excited. I'm just like, this is just what it is. Because, it's like you take a big bet. You quit your stable HR career and you're like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do something. And like, I just think that I think our team's done a really, really good job at kind of solving a lot of these big problems that we kind of come to. Because my co-founder and I will go to them and we'll say like, we needed to do this. And they'll look at us like, are you nuts? And we're like, maybe. And then they're like, but we figured it out. So it's just like, it's just exciting because I think that there's just a lot that employees can benefit from it, that managers can benefit from it. And then by default, HR can benefit from it because you're dealing with less crap.
And one last little note before we jet on out of here, but like it's one of these, it's one of these technologies that really show that HR is here for you as an employee, right? Like you can go on LinkedIn or whatever's called Twitter, X, Threads, any of these systems, and you could easily read up employees complaining and bickering, just saying like HR doesn't care, they don't care about the company. Like no, something like a SkillCycle shows that HR does more than just compliance and making and protecting businesses. They actually care about your own development professionally as well. So I think it's wonderful, and yeah, I think it's very much needed, especially in today's day and age.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll say too, it's like we do care about protecting the company, and as an employee, you are an asset of the company. So it's not just a goodwill thing too. It's just like we do care about protecting you and the things that you want to do. I talk about this with Heba all the time. I think it's actually a direct quote from her. She's like, yes, I care about protecting the company. You are the company.
Excellent quote. I'm going to create a graphic for you that says that. Well, it's Heba's. We'll find a way to like put both of you.
I want to attribute it to her too, because I think she was the one who said it. Like she says these things that just get stuck in my head and then I keep repeating. So I always try to remember to attribute it to the right people.
You could always be like that Michael Scott post where it has like the same graphic.
Heavy Yusuf, Rebecca Taylor.
Yeah. All right. So we'll take a quick break and let's talk a little bit around performance management. Let's take good like 30 seconds to talk about what matching tattoos we're going to get when I go up there. And yeah.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.